What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Screenheads TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my predictions for the next episode of Fargo, which will be the Season 3 finale. That's right, it's here. It's just about over. Sad to see it go. That's episode 10, titled Somebody to Love. Alright, so we're finally here, the Season 3 finale of Fargo. Now, this isn't really a sad thing for me. I mean, I'm sorry to see the season go. Loving it. I love the show, but I know it'll be back. But not only that, Fargo is a show that doesn't really leave loose ends. It's an anthology series, so every season so far has had an ending to every major character arc, and even most of, if not all, of the smaller characters get conclusions to their arcs as well. So one thing I think we can count on is we should all be satisfied in the fact that we're going to get an ending to the story. Now, does it mean it's going to be a happy ending, or everyone's going to come out alive, or everyone's going to die? No. That's one thing Fargo does well, is everyone doesn't have a happy ending, but there's closure to pretty much all the stories, at least in the confounds of that current season. All right, let's just get into it. No more wasting time. Sorry. The synopsis reads, Gloria follows the money, Nikki plays a game, and Emmet learns a lesson about progress from Varga. So let's start with Gloria. Gloria follows the money. Now, one thing that Fargo always does, the movie included, is, the main police officer, whoever's the person that's, on top of the case pretty much the whole season, usually ends out on top, usually ends out, winning, so to speak, right? And I really think that's going to be the case here, too. Maybe they'll change it up and have Gloria not win. And I think she's going to win and lose. So I don't think she's going to end up getting Emmet. But I do think she's going to end up getting Varga, possibly. I'll get to that a little bit more later. So Gloria following the money, obviously, is going to stem from Nikki sending the Varga's information to the tax guy, the IRS guy who's looking into all this. And I think he and Gloria will be working together for this episode to put a close, or at least delve a little bit deeper into who Emmet's business partners are. So the shift may happen in away from Emmet and towards Varga. So that'll be interesting to see how Gloria's story is going to play out. Now, I'm more likely to think that it's going to end up with Gloria nailing Varga, or Varga dead, but with Gloria nailing Varga and Emmet also. But I really think that things aren't looking too good for Emmet either way, even if Gloria doesn't get him. But what I think her case may end up doing is not catching Emmet or convicting Emmet or whatever's going to happen. I'll get to Emmet in a second. But more towards the larger organization, the larger case in Varga being responsible for these Stussy murders. Because remember, there's multiple Stussies showing up murdered. That's not a coincidence. Obviously. All right, so, that's really it for Gloria. Honestly, this season, as much as I love Carrie Coons, I don't think they did a lot with Gloria's character. And I would have liked to see her more. I felt like with Molly in season 1 and with Lou in season 2, we really got to see a lot of them and get a good sense for not just who they were, but how they were really, really good at being police officers. Where with Gloria, we get a lot of sense of who she is, but we don't get I feel like, a good sense of how good she is at her job, even though they do make that apparent. All right, let's move on. Sorry. And I hope we get some sort of answer to the hand coming out and pushing the button. I doubt we will. It was a Barton Fink kind of episode, and that's a really strange movie if you've never seen it. So, it may just be one of those things that they put there for thematic reasons when you go back and look at the pointlessness of the box where you press the button and another hand comes up and just presses the button. if we really delve into Gloria's storyline, which I'll probably do once the season is over, that might make a little bit more sense, because I'm going to do a rewatch and then a bunch of videos about just specific characters. All right, Nikki plays a game. Now, you would like to think that this means something about bridge, but I doubt it with what's going on. In the trailer, we see Nikki pointing a shotgun at somebody, so I think this is going to continue where it's basically Nikki playing a game and using her poker face and her bridge skills against Varga to come out on top somehow because she lost Ray. I don't think it's all about punishing Varga. I think she really does want to profit from this, seeing as how she, took a loss in the whole thing. So I think we'll see, definitely, well, not think, we will see more of Nikki and Wrench. Now, I would like to believe that Wrench is still going to make it out alive, because I'd like to see him be, a character that's featured, even if only small, in every single season, till whenever they decide to end this story. I think that would be interesting, seeing as how he's the only character to do that thus far. So it would be the most logical step to make it him, because he's the only one that can do it. He's the only character, not the actor, but the only character that we can say featured in every single season. If you don't know what I mean, I did do a connections video about it, but real quick, Wrench and his partner, Mr. Numbers, are briefly seen in the very end of Fargo Season 2. There's two kids being bullied on a baseball field, and Hansi, he's the Native American guy who comes out on top in Fargo Season 2, kind of rescues them and obviously takes them under his wing. So, so that would be nice. Now, are things going to go well for Nikki? Now, there's rarely a character in the world of Fargo that's involved in the crimes from the beginning of the whole thing that doesn't get punished. But I really think this is going to be their season where they deviate from that. And I think Nikki is going to be our only character, other than Gloria, to come out on top. But Gloria is going to be like a 50-50 on top, because she's not going to get any credit or recognition. It's going to get all stolen from Gloria. So Gloria is going to be like a bittersweet ending, where she solves the case, but she's going to take none of the credit for it. It's going to be all that new chief, Shea Wiggum. That's what I personally think. That's the actor's name, not the character. So I think Nikki might be the character that's going to come out happy-go-lucky, carefree, away from this, maybe even with a substantial amount of money she's going to get from Varga. That's where I see Nikki going. Maybe she'll team up with Wrench. Maybe they'll split the money and, split up. Maybe she'll try and do Wrench dirty in the end, and then Wrench will end up on top and kill Nikki and take all the money. Who knows? But it's Fargo. It comes from, yes, the Coen brothers don't make the show, but Noah Hawley understands the Coen brothers, understands their work, understands where they get the inspiration from their work. So this is going to be a very Coen brothers ending, and there usually is some sort of happy ending in the Coen brothers movie for at least one of the characters. So I really think it's going to be Nikki. Someone we weren't sure if we could trust in the beginning is going to make it out okay, I think. Hopefully. But, like I said, could be some double crossing or some stuff that come to light that we don't know about Nikki that makes her maybe not such a good person or an even worse person in the end. Alright, so then we have Emmet learns a lesson about progress from Varga. I personally think that Emmet is going to die. He's either going to die or he's going to end up doing time for murder. Like life, like death sentence type of stuff. I don't think he's going to make it out okay. I really think he's going to die, though, at the end. They're going to harken back a little bit to season 1 with Lester, where you kind of think he's going to get away, then you think he's going to get caught, and then you know what happens. So, yeah, I think it's going to go that route. But if somehow Emmet lives, I do not think it's going to be a happy ending. I definitely think he's going to get incarcerated for, big time, long time stuff. Okay. And now let's touch on Varga. Now, Varga is, I'm hoping, okay? And do I think Fargo is the type of show to have to spell everything out for us? No. Do they spell everything out for you? Usually not. Do I want them necessarily to? No, not really. But I do want more insight into Varga and who he works for, or if he's the boss, like Nikki calls out. I do think Nikki was right. I do think he is a boss. But I think there's a larger picture at play here. I don't think it's just about these bad guys moving into town extorting a rich guy. I think the master plan has something to do with the Stussies. And most particularly, it's going to go back to it being Pops, which is, Gloria's stepfather, who we saw flashback stuff of earlier in the season. I think all that is going to come back into play. It's not just going to be a happenstance, wrong place, wrong time. Even though I think that theme is definitely plays out. Man, my hair looks funny. I think that theme plays out the whole season. Wrong place, wrong time. Wrong identity type of things. Identity issues and all that. I definitely think that that's going to play out. But I also am led to believe that they've done too much insinuating about the name Stussy, where all these people now are coming up dead. I think now we've seen Pops and then those two guys last episode, because it was two separate guys. One was in a pool of blood, the other one was taped to a chair, just like Pops was, asphyxiated or whatever. Right, so we're 1, 2, 3 dead Stussies plus Ray, even though he's not connected to those three, but Ray, and then you have Emmet, all Stussies, right? So what I think it is, and I said this a little bit in my review, I believe, of the last episode, or maybe in my Yuri Gurka video, I said it. I believe that somehow related to that beginning opening stuff with the guy saying, you're Yuri Gurka, the military guy, and then the other guy saying, well, I'm not Yuri Gurka, you got the wrong guy. That's going to come back into play. Not just the Yuri Gurka name, though. It's going to come back into play on why he's working for Varga and how that's connected to it, and why the name Stussy is so important to these people. We're gonna find out all of that, I believe, in this episode, and I think it's gonna be mind-blowing stuff. I think Goldfarb also works for Varga. In the trailer, we see Emmet go, "You work for Varga?" And I think he's talking to Goldfarb. Personally, maybe he's talking to somebody else. Maybe he's talking to the tax guy. Who knows? But I think, or maybe he's talking to one of the police. But I think, because we know the cops, are somehow on the payroll with that one guy that was working for the team. So there's a bigger picture at play. Now, I hope that the syndicates that were a part of season 1 and 2 come back into play, and that Varga works for one of them or is a rival of one of them. I really, 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 really hope that that's the case. I do believe we're going to get another connection to the rest of Fargo in this last episode. Maybe it's going to be a subtle, maybe it's going to be like a character show up, like right in our face, or maybe it's going to be the mention of something. I don't know, but I think we're going to get something big in this last episode. So I don't think things are going to go good for Varga, but he could be the one villain that gets away scot-free. Well, not really. Hansi got away in season 2, but if you know all the connections, his fate is explained in season 1. We think, anyway. We don't really see it, so who knows? Maybe Hansi's still out there somewhere. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there'll be way more Connections videos, way more Fargo videos. I love this show, all 3 seasons. So I'm going to do my best to maybe put out at least a video a week, even after the season is over. Explaining and discussing, and maybe even a couple of thoughts on where I think they might go for next season, but that's kind of impossible to predict, really. Though I do think it's going to be another flashback, like another one in the past, as opposed to present day. Because 1 and 3, they've done more closer to present day, and then season 2 was of like a flashback kind of deal, So I think the next one will be maybe, in an older time as well. All right, that's it for this one. Long enough. Sorry, I rambled on enough, but that's basically where I see it going in the episode. I probably left a ton of ideas that I had out, But like I said, I'm going to do a bunch of videos after this. So if I left anything out, don't beat me up too bad in the comments. But I definitely want to hear what you got to say about my video, about anything I said, about what you think's going to happen this week in the finale of Fargo. Want to talk about anything in the season at all, or in any of the seasons, or the movie, or whatever, anything Coen Brothers related. I love to talk about this stuff, so drop it in the comments. I'll definitely get back to you so we can get a good discussion going. And thanks again for watching. Always appreciate it. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.